And the situation makes you really wonder, how deep does the rabbit hole get? Did the NBA secretly always have a culture of cap circumvention, but the money has never been this high, especially with this new streaming money coming in? There's a lot of things on the line. Now the new business model for these owners is to have an arena and have a whole ecosystem built around it. That includes hotels, casinos, dining, etc. This is a whole real estate entity now owning an NBA team. And again, I gotta go layer by layer before we get into the meat and potatoes, because Bill Simmons, as an NBA insider, reveals right here that there's always been a culture of cap circumvention. This media landscape is very interesting because the days of guys protecting their relationships doesn't really work in a sort of independent space.
Like, think about during the summer, people were saying they were the big winner of the summer with free agency. So I'm sure around the league, people are delighted by this. You know, some of the stories have talked about how furious other teams are.
Yes.
That this is a breach. Get the fuck out of here.
That's how I feel.
Half the league does this. I wish I could say 10% of the shit that I've heard over the last 20 years about all the shit that everybody does. It's unbelievable. Everything you think is happening, just period.
Everything has to be happening because there's so much more money on the line than in previous decades. The NBA is about to get an influx of money that is unprecedented. Guys like Luka, Jason Tatum, any top tier player, they're set up to be making $100 million a year by the middle of this streaming deal. I mean, shit, just to start it off, players already signing for $72 to $80 million a year. So now we're going to hear from Pablo Torre, Amino Hassan, and the former president of the Florida Marlins, David Samson, as they went into more detail of this whole fiasco, including the fact that Aspiration, by the time they had to pay Kawhi, never had the money to begin with, and the Clippers kept having to send wire payments to them. And for those of you that are watching the video version, there will be plenty of visuals as we go through the many documents and pay schedules. This is how much of a bag Pablo Torre really got into, and it makes for a great fucking spectacle. You guys check it out, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
We made one of the 10 richest people in the world fly to Bristol, Connecticut. That says a lot, I would say, about what the level of urgency is. I think this whole thing seems pretty cut and dry. And it's not just because I've talked to multiple NBA owners who effectively have told me the same thing, that the facts seem clear, but it's also because what it takes to prove cap circumvention, salary cap circumvention in the collective bargaining agreement, which has been characterized by Commissioner Adam Silver as a cardinal sin in the league, that also, according to the language, seems cut and dry in terms of what is useful for the league to consider. And so I just want to quote Article 13, Section 2 of the collective bargaining agreement with the NBA and its players under the heading, quote, no unauthorized agreements. It says, a violation may be proven by direct or circumstantial evidence, including but not limited to evidence that a player contract or any term or provision thereof cannot rationally be explained. End quote.
Now, this is where Adam Silver is caught in a conundrum, because is he really gonna punish Steve Ballmer, the guy that not only came into the league inflating all the prices of NBA teams, but he bought the stadium, paid it for himself, he bought the land, he's been good for business. According to the NBA rules, they don't actually have to investigate him and find 100% proof like on the legal side. There's enough presumed evidence here. But once again, Ballmer is the Jerry Jones of the NBA. So are you really going to take away Kawhi, cancel his contract, knowing that Ballmer spent all that money buying up the land, paying for the arena? You're about to have the All-Star game over there this season. And they've even announced that this investigation could go past the All-Star game. How convenient. Again, this is big business. There's a lot of money on the line. And I've always alluded in my previous segments that the NBA is 60% marketing, 30% business, and 10% basketball. And we're seeing all phases of it, especially on the marketing side. With Adam Silver, the way he speaks in these press conferences, slowly in the past 5 years, he went from speaking to the American audience when it comes to the NBA. Now he's speaking to the globe. And it was very carefully crafted through his words. That's why I say the NBA is 60% marketing. They make you think that they're not money hungry as the NFL. That's their branding. But in reality, the NBA, ever since Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, have gotten the league to pop off and start reeling in the viewers and cash. They've never been a league where the average fan could just put on one of their games on television and see it for free. It's always been, for the most part, behind a paywall, whether it be cable TV, and now we see it with streaming. Look how fractured that they have all their games. You have to have Amazon, you have to have an NBC, Peacock, all these services, ESPN. They've always been chasing behind the bag, and they've done a great job marketing the league to not make it look like they're chasing the money like everyone knows the NFL to be. But in reality, the NBA has been just as money hungry, if not even more. At least the NFL has their games accessible on a local side to their fans. If you live in a particular city, you can see that city's team for free. The NBA has never had a setup like this. And now headed into streaming, the local games are going to be more expensive to see versus the nationally televised games. So just keep this in mind.